Hello. Ah! I think it's working. Can someone confirm in chat that you can hear me? I think we might be in luck here. Let's see. Let's see. Can anyone hear me? I think people can hear me. I'm going to press on. So, it's VATSIM evening here in Edinburgh. We've got VATSIM coverage, I do believe. We should have Edinburgh Approach. Let's have a look. Do we have Edinburgh Approach? We do. Yes, we do. We have Edinburgh Ground and Edinburgh Tower and Edinburgh Approach. Blimey, so we've got the full suite going out of Edinburgh. We just pause this music, so I'm not talking over this singer. Here we go. Right, so I've got the plane basically in a turnaround state because thanks for confirming that, Liamasa. Because I've already flown the leg from Bristol to Edinburgh, but I'm just going to stream the leg going back to Bristol. So, first of all, I have done a Simbury flight plan, so let's just go to the MCDU here and get rid of these pieces of paper. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know how you do it. Click on them. Okay, so let's get a boarding request sent off. 123 passengers today and 5.9 metric tons of cargo. Let's start boarding that on. It will take a while, so we need that time. And while we're here, we can also get the ATIS. So we are currently at Edinburgh Echo Golf Papa Hotel. We'll get that as a text format, but we'll also check it on the radio before we call for clearance. That's been sent. Okay, back to the FMGC. Let's just confirm this is A322. That's not technically right. It should be 251, but nevertheless, the airback is correct. So that's all looking fine. So that's D for diff. It's diff strip, isn't it? So that's data. Oh, that's fine. The IRS has already turned on, which if we look at the overhead, where is it? Up here. There you go, 1, 2 and 3 are already set. The APU is powering the aircraft at the minute. And yeah, everyone's off. Obviously, we're loading passengers on now. So let's actually begin to fuel up or anything else, because otherwise I'll forget about it. OFP, block fuel. This is the number we're going to need to get to Bristol. 5,005. Yeah. 5,005. It's already there. Oh, actually, hang on. This is using the old flight plan. Yeah, this is still loaded in Bristol to Edinburgh. So let's just click from SimBrief, and now it should flip. There we go. Edinburgh to Bristol. And this time the flight plan says 4861. So we're only going to need that much fuel. Put it in 4861. And that's going to take about 3 minutes to completely load up. This number's actually trickling up already. The 26280, 290, 705. So that's going to take about 3 minutes to fully fuel the aircraft. Once that the fueling is fully done, we can turn the seatbelt lights on. But for now, they have to be off because if there's a fire and such, there has to be a quick evacuation. So that's fueling taken care of. Let's look at the OFP again. We want our routing now. So that's the alternate. That I want. Here we go. Right. Edinburgh runway 24. Go Sam 1 Charlie to Go Sam. I'll put in. So, book 2 EGPH / EGGD. That's Edinburgh to Bristol. In there, the company will come up with none because there's no company routes. I haven't put in the. Basically, the company doesn't have a company route number. Flight number today is easy. What are we? Yeah, I just need to check my SimBrief flight plan. 428. 428. That in there. I actually need to pre-file this on VATSIM. Very quickly, just click on the pre-file. File flight plan. Belongs to someone else. Okay, so we're going to be 428 Alpha then. So it says 428 there, but when we call air traffic control, we'll be 428 Alpha. Let me actually just quickly change that in my vPilot. 428 Alpha. There we go. Okay, good. Cost index today is, let's see, 28. 28 goes in there, and the cruising level is, let's see, where's our step climbs? Going to be at 310 by Elbus. So in here, 31,000, and that will, oops, work out the temperature. It's going to be negative 46 degrees up at that altitude, so pretty chilly. Okay, moving on. That's DI, and we need F, diff, srip. So we're Edinburgh, and we're on the Go Sam 1 Charlie, aren't we? Q4, Go Sam 1 Charlie. We'll get that confirmed in a second with PC. And in fact, I will actually just leave it on that setting for now because I need to call clearance. So what we do, go back and get our frequencies from here. ATIS at Edinburgh is 1315, so let's go to the radio and put that in. 131 500. And it's not working. Have I misread the number? Oh, it's 131350. I can't read, as it turns out. Right, 131.
Contact.
Ah. Right. Have radio.
Edinburgh Information Alpha. Time 1820 Zulu. Runway in use 24. Transition level flight level 70. Expect radar vectoring to an ILS approach. Increased bird activity within the aerodrome boundary. Surface wind 230 degrees 13 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Light rain. Few at 1,400 feet. Scattered 2,700 feet. Temperature +7. Dew point +6. QNH 1025. Ground is open. Acknowledge receipt of information Alpha. And advise aircraft type on first contact. Edinburgh Information Alpha. Time 1820 Zulu. Runway in use 24. Transition level flight level 70. Expect radar vectoring to an ILS approach. Increased bird activity within the aerodrome boundary. Surface wind 230 degrees 13 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Light rain. Few at 1,400 feet. Scattered 2,700 feet. Temperature +7. Dew point +6. QNH 1025. Ground is open. Acknowledge receipt of information Alpha. And advise aircraft type on first contact.
Okay, back to Unicom. So we got a lot of information from that ATIS report. So on information Alpha, runway 24 expected, which is what I've already put into the McDo, which is fine. Oh, we've got a first time chatter. Mad Pilot. Stream looks great, but when you click your mouse, it doesn't line up with the bottom. Yes, I'm aware of that. It's actually because what you can't see on Twitch is that I'm playing this game on an ultra-wide monitor. So I'm seeing my aspect ratio is 21:9. But regrettably, you cannot stream on Twitch in 21:9 aspect ratio. You have to stream in 16:9. So what I've done is essentially cut the ends of the image off of the Twitch feed. But that means that like my mouse is sort of stretched. So if I put my mouse right over here on the left-hand side of the screen, you see it on the left-hand side of your screen. But basically, your image is essentially squished. Like your image is compressed, whereas mine isn't. I think it works something like that. So yeah, it's a bit weird, I'll concede. But that's just an unfortunate fact of my streaming setup. I wish I could get it changed. I don't really know how to. Anyway, but thanks for joining us, Mad Pilot. So you enjoyed the stream. Good to hear. Right, so this is going to be, in case you weren't aware already, this is a VATSIM tutorial flight. So we've just got the ATIS. We know we're on Information Alpha, and we've got all the information about clouds. The temperature is 6. Oh, I've got a follower, I think. Something happened. Like, it never tells you what's happened. Oh, it's Mad Pilot. Thanks so much for following Mad Pilot. Right. So yes, as I say, we've got the cloud information. The temperature is 7. QNH 1025. So when making first contact with Edinburgh ground, we need 4 bits of information, 4 pieces. Okay. The first of them is the aircraft type, which is an A320neo. The second one is the stand number, which, as we can see from in front of us, is stand 8. The next one, number 3, is the information, which is alpha, and the last one, QNH, is 1025 in that ATIS report. And then we're going to make our request. So that's the information they need, and then we're requesting IFR to Bristol. I haven't actually... What you can't see on the stream is that I've also got an iPad here, and I'm jotting down notes on it, because I've got one of those Apple Pencils as well. And I would love to be able to share that with you, but unfortunately at the minute I haven't worked out how to. So That's an unfortunate fact. Anyways, enemy ground is 121750. So let's go over to the radio and give him a call. 121. 121.
Runway in use 24. Transition level flight level 70. Expect radar.
I think that's it. Is that him? 12175. Yeah, that's him. Okay, let's give him a call. Edinburgh ground, good evening. Easy 428 Alpha, A320 Neo on stand 8 with information Alpha on board, QNH 1025, and we would like IFR to Bristol, please, as filed.
Easy 428 Alpha, Edinburgh ground, good evening. Clear to Bristol, GoSam 1 Charlie departure, squawk 6473.
Clear to Bristol on the GoSam 1 Charlie, squawking 6473 for Great Alpha.
428 Alpha, correct.
Okay, so that's clearance taken care of. It was that simple. We were already expecting GoSam 1 Charlie from our flight plan, so I had that already written down, ready for the readback, although on rare occasion they will change your SID, but that's only really if you filed incorrectly. And usually SimBrief gets it right, although sometimes the weather can be variable. So GoSam 1 Charlie I was prepared for, and all I had to write down there was the squawk number, which was 6473. So while we're on the subject of squawking, let's put that into the transponder. So we're on, and we want 6473 there. It's on, Tara is set. We're going to want traffic that's above for the climb out. Bit of wind shear can come on as well without it. That's clearance. What else do I need to do? Oh yes, the flight, of course. So flight plan back to the McDo. Firstly, let's take a look at the flight plan on the tablet. Is the fuel up done? Completely unrelated. The fueling is complete, so I can actually go over here and turn the seatbelt lights on, like so. Boom. Love that little chime. I missed the cabin chime. I miss flying. It's been such a long time I was actually on an airplane. Right, so GoSam 1 Charlie to GoSam, and then we want the P600 to Fennec. So what we do is we go down here, we click on GoSam, Airways, and we wanted the Papa 600. Oops. There, it takes a second or two. To Fennec. Okay. And next up, we wanted Lima 612 to Elbus. So back we go. Lima 612 to Elbus. Yes, there it is. Elbus. And next up, Uniform Lima 612 to DCS, Dean's Cross. Uniform Lima 612 to Dean's DCS. Not DCS World, unfortunately. I do have a friend who plays DCS World and he says it's very good. Gotcha. Right, Uniform November 8 or 864. Sorry, back to my do. Uniform November 8 or 2 Subak. Oh, I'd love to know where they get the names for these waypoints. And the next, direct Nokin, so we can just go N-O-K. Actually, we don't have to specify the area. We can just put Nokin in there. I think that work. No, it doesn't. Okay, so we'll just put it in. Now we've got the flight plan up to Subak, and then we click on Subak, and the next waypoint is Nokin. Insert. Oops, just the overhead. I want the tablet. There we go. And then from Nokin, November 862 to Amral. Nokin, Airways, and we want November 862 to Amral. Right, let's just run through the flight plan then. So we'll go to plan mode and back to my default view so we can see all of these things at once. So, first of all, Uniform Whiskey. This is all the GoSam 1 Charlie, Mavics, GoSam, Fennec, Inclusive, Elbus, Navso, Benby, Dean's Cross, Ubuk, No kin. Something's gone very weird there with the VNav. No idea what that is. We'll make sure it doesn't become an issue on the flight. And then to oh, it's because no kin's in the thing twice. Ah, right. So because no kin's actually, you see, this is the thing it does sometimes. No kin track 001 at 0 degrees. So it's put another waypoint for no kin on top of no kin, and that's why the plane's like thinking it has to fly around itself. To clear it out, we'll generate a discontinuity. We just clear the discontinuity, and now it should fix that gap. There we go. So no kin, Rizzler, Arno, Obver, Envo, Betsy, Amral, and Amral the flight plan runs out because we haven't put the arrival in yet. So back down we go. We're expecting the Amral 1 Bravo, and it will be ILS 27 Amral 1B. Is there a transition? Oh, no, I don't. I'm going to put no vias because we've got ATC at Bristol, so they should vector us. Insert that. Back up to my default view. We go Amral, Riles, Dobum, Imgur, Bristol. And that's the Bristol VOR. And it's going to take us back out, but it's on the ILS from there, like a teardrop approach. Okay, I can handle that. That's flight plan taken care of. Now let's look at the GoSam 1 Charlie on the chart. Fortunately, I can't show you on my eye. No VOR station on this departure. It's all VNav. So we can forget about the RadNav page. We don't need that. Secondary flight plan isn't working at the moment. It's inop. So let's go back and look at the weights and balance. Has everyone got on board yet? Yes, they have. Great. So we can do init B. Block fuel today was 4 points. What was it? 4.86. So we'll round it up to 4.9. Zero fuel and zero into gravity. It can work out. That will do some sums. And there we go. Back to the tablet one more time for the OFP, and we're looking at the average wind, which is 261 at 035. Sorry, that is regrettably slight headwinds, but it's more like a crosswind actually. So we'll put in, and what was the direction? What was the speed? 35. So it's not massive. I'm going to put in plus 10, just because I'd rather overestimate than underestimate. So if say we're flying into a 10 knot headwind. That is our headwind component rather. It will change the landing weight calculation very slightly. Not that it matters too much, but just I do it for the sake of doing it. Right, flaps 1, Dex 2 temp. There is a way you can calculate this, although I don't really bother. So as it's a long runway here at Edinburgh, I'll go 68. I think that should do it. And then V1, VR, and V2 work themselves out. 130, 131, and 135. On the SID today is going to be 6,000 feet. One last thing in it, the alternate is Manchester to see. Press all aligned. Check the overhead panel. And go beacon on because we're going to start engines very shortly. Nav on. And at this point, I think we're actually ready to go. Let's just set a couple more things on the scratch pad here. What's this bit? The middle bit. I've always called it the middle bit. 6,000 feet set for the initial climb on the SID. We're going to make sure it's set to nav mode. Make sure that's dialed in. Speed all looking good. Landing system can come off because we were using that before for the ILS. Okay. Now we can call for pushback and start. So it's ground again. Yeah. You mean ground's still online? Is ground still online? It is. Come on, tablet. We just check. He is online. He is online. So let's call it. Edinburgh ground, easy 428 alpha, ready for pushback and start.
Easy 428 alpha, stand 8, push and start approved, facing east.
Push and start approved, facing east, easy 428 alpha. So currently we're facing sort of like southeast. So we're going to push back to the right, so our nose is pointing in the direction of this welling. Or view, if you want to. Not working. Great. Oh well, let's call in the tug. the parking brake can go off. I don't think there actually is a tug. No. Fortunately, so it's not going to generate one. We'll push back and go. While that's happening, we can go to engine on, and engine. You can start spooling. Lock the cabin door and check the for positive N2. It is. I'm aware that I'm talking quite fast. I hope everyone's keeping track because there's a lot to think about. So Mad Pilot, thanks for following. Welcome on board. I don't tend to stream it that often. I don't really believe in the whole mentality of having like a schedule, unless you want to do it like as a full-time job, which I don't. I just stream as and when I feel like it, basically. But you know, I have tried to make it regular in the past, although I'm just very, very bad at holding myself to a schedule for streaming. For other things, sure, but not for this. It calculates that about right in terms of pushing back onto this line here. I hope that someday for MSFS we get a pushback planner like they have in other sims, where you can like draw on the map where you want the pushback to go. Okay, straight, so stop the pushback. End the tug away. Parking brake on. Back down here, let's get engine number 1 spooling. We can also, now that the tug is gone, we can turn off lights and taxi lights on. Strobes can go to auto. Any white lights? No, they're not. So the overhead's looking good. Ooh. Ooh. Next, we're going to call ground again for a taxi. At the minute, I haven't got my ground chart up, so let's get my charts prepared. I've already done that before I pushed, but then port chart pinned on the graph, and my plans. Look at the airport. We're on taxiway Foxtrot. We're going to go to runway 24, so we can expect Foxtrot. Foxtrot, Alpha probably, and then it'd be hold short. Will it be Foxtrot Alpha hold short Delta 1? Who needs to find it? Ground easy 428 Alpha ready for taxi.
Easy 428 Alpha taxi holding point Delta 1 via Foxtrot 1.
Taxi holding point Delta 1 via Foxtrot, and I assume you mean Alpha. 428 Alpha. Great. Everything's looking good. Engine 1's done, so we can go back to norm. The APU can then come off. Probes, stay on auto for now. Everything looks good. I think we... Parking brake off, let's go. Go to Bristol. Hopefully we don't miss the ATC there. So it does say they're going to log off at 7:30. But never mind, we'll at least get full coverage going out of Edinburgh. And back to. So how is the audience doing today? Well, I hope. Feel free to ask anything you should desire to ask in the chat. Ask it. Answer it. Answer. All of answer. Endeavour to answer it. Right here on to Alpha. Delta 1 is the last holding point. Oh, it's quite a way up. A bit of time to see checks and before takeoff checks. So, hasn't actually flashed up on this on the ECAM yet. We're going to get going. So flaps 1, speed brake needs to be armed. That's tug. We need speed brake on max, and we need to spin what we're about to do. So,
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Okay, lovely. And then if that's all set, the flaps are in. We do TO config. That's looking normal, fantastic. Now we just taxi to Delta 1.
Easy 428 Alpha, contact return air frequency 118.705. Bye bye.
118.705 for tower. Thanks very much for your help. There we go, there's our first handoff over to tower. Whoops, wrong thing. 118.705. Actually, Delta 1. Don't want to go off the taxiway here like an idiot. This is Delta 3. Yeah. 3. And we're going to turn the left corner, and there's another hold for Delta 1. Looks like there's nothing on final, so we get straight out. Right? Assuming there's nothing behind that ominous cloud there. Right. Back down to the radio. 1. One 118. Edinburgh Tower, easy 428 Alpha, holding short Delta. I see. My V-pilot says it's 700. Not. Edinburgh Tower, easy 428 Alpha, holding short Delta.
Easy 428 Alpha, Edinburgh Tower, good afternoon. Flight Delta 1, the wind 226 degrees 13 knots, runway 24, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 428 Alpha. There we go, cleared for takeoff immediately, that's good. Packs can come off. Let's get the landing lights on and the takeoff light on, stroboscope on as well. Parking brake off, let's double check my TCAS, it is good. Now we go over to the SID chart on the iPad. And initially time is up to 1,000 feet. The auto throttle of that and the flight. Straight on the runway. And I think I'm just going to floor it as a rolling start today, because I can. So here we go, a little bit of power. Down. That looks good, stable, so up to flex. There we go. 60. 80, stick to neutral. Yep. On the second time. 120. 1 and rotate. Lovely stuff. Positive climb. Gear up. Let's go to our flight director view. Going on more clearly here. I think we're in the. Let's keep the dot on the cross. There we go. Fantastico. What I should have done before I took off actually was got the frequency for approach preset in the standby, but I haven't. I'm silly. So instead I'm going to go.
Easy 428 Alpha, contact Edinburgh radar 121.2.
Radar 1212. Thanks for your help. Easy 4 Alpha. Here we go. Levers to climb. There we go. And let's come down quickly and go to 1212. Oops. 1, 2. Go. Edinburgh, good evening, easy 42 Alpha on the Go San Juan Charlie, passing 2,800.
Easy 42 Alpha, Edinburgh radar, hello, climb now, flight level 250.
Flight level 250, easy 42 Alpha. There we go, usually approach will give you an immediate climb if it's quiet, in this case it is, so I'm going straight to flight level 250 and we can set open climb to bypass the altitude constraints. Plane will now go to speed here of 250 and then it will go straight up like a rocket. So oops. Get the spoilers back in, flaps are set to 0 now, gear is up, We can go back up overhead, make sure that the lights are off on the nose gear so that then when the hot packs can come on. Landing lights on the side stay on until 10,000. Seatbelts stay on until about the passing level. Apparently I've got a company message. What's that? Oh, you know what that was? It's probably the ATIS for it. Yeah, I've actually forgot to print it, but never mind. It still worked out fine in the end. So, over to flight plan. Check that we are now on the leg, which we are for 95 DME. That's 9.5 from the ITH, which is basically just a localizer. Still got, in fact, we've even got IVG on the VOR. Here we go, IVG. Right, so as soon as that goes to 9.5, we should hit this waypoint. QNH is now flashing, so we can go to standard pressure. Fab. Fantastic. It's been a very clean departure. Do we have Scottish Centre? We do not have Scottish Centre, but we do have London North. In fact, we have pretty much all of London, so I think we'll still get ATC going into Bristol, but it just won't be. It'll be top down. So there we go. That is a departure on VATSIM. For the most part, we haven't completed it fully yet, but we are most of the way there.
EC46 Alpha Monitor, Unicom 122 decimal at the back.
1228 for EZ42 Alpha, thanks for your help. Bye. So, unfortunately, the time has come. Go to Unicom, every VATSIM pilot's nightmare. Well, it's not really a nightmare, a nightmare for a VATSIM pilot. Of messing up on frequency, looking like a lemon. But yeah, no one likes Unicom because you tune in for ATC and then you go Unicom is just wait, that's it. But no one's on. So over to Unicom. 128. And so we're still on the SID, no control, so I might as well just give myself a direct to GoSam. Although, for the sake of just sticking with the flight plan, I won't. Because you never know, Scottish Centre could log in at any second. No, actually, it's fairly quiet. It's fairly quiet. I'm going to give myself a direct AVSO. Just to shave some time off it. So, BIR. Let's go to NAVSO, because that's right on the edge of the Scottish FIR. Direct to. And there we go, the plane should bank hard. Right. Like that. Right. Working out where it is. We're at 12,000 feet now, so the flight level 120, I should say, so landing lights can come off. There we go. Up and sorted now, that is a screenshot right there. Hold steady. Wow. What a picture. That just lined itself up for me so well. Fantastic screenshot. Although I do tend to quite like the wing view. Let's go and put it in there. Lovely. I love the sound as well, like the sort of the low pitch hum. Fantastic. Okay. So there we are. That's our departure from Edinburgh done. We're on Unicom. We're all set, basically. And then, as I say, we're going direct to nav. So London North is online, so we should pick him up shortly after we get there. And let's go and have a look at what his frequency is. Here we go, it's now working. So London North Centre, we pick him up just basically as we're crossing the border, 1337. So let's go and get him set on standby. Never pays to be, well, so it never hurts to be well prepared on VATSIM. Was it 33? 700? Yeah, 133700. I thought I remembered it. 33700. Okay. And now we just let the plane do its thing, basically. Coming for 7,000, so I'm going to turn the seatbelts off as well. And if we go and look at our OFP again, that climbs. So 250 from Edinburgh, and then at Elbus we can go up to 310. Now where is Elbus? I have a feeling that Elbus is actually on SID. It's shortly after. No, it isn't. It's in Scottish airspace, so we can go straight up to 310. Because we're not going to bother with that step climb anymore. Basically, for anyone who's confused watching, L-bus, like the waypoint L-bus is actually before Navso, and we've just done direct to Navso, so we're going to skip it out effectively, which means we can go up to flight level 310 as per the flight plan. So I'm just going to tab out very quickly and see. Yes, there is still ATC at Bristol. I would be amazed if it's still there when I actually get to Bristol, but you know, I've been lucky before and I've been incredibly unlucky before with actually getting like ATC coverage on the VATSIM network, but hey ho. But in terms of speaking to VATSIM controllers, first contact, I wouldn't say it's the hardest thing, but it is the bit where like you actually have to give them information. So, well, it's one of a few occasions where you have to give them information. So, the 4 things again were the aircraft type, the stand number that you're on, the information, the current ATIS information, which is, in this case was Alpha, and the QNH contained within that information, which today was 1025. And then when we connect to London Centre, we will just tell them what flight level we're at, basically, or what we're passing and what we're climbing to. So say that I contact London and we're not at flight level 310 yet, which is looking quite likely actually, I will tell him my current flight level and then say for flight level 310, because that means that I'm still climbing and that's where I'm going to. That's where I've cleared, that's why I'm basically set to go. So he can then expect me to then get to flight 10 and then stop climbing at that level, because we wouldn't want him to you know, get confused and think we're climbing above it, which is not included on our flight plan. So a little tidbit. And then, as I say, Bristol approach is on right now, but if we were to get to Bristol and Bristol approach was not online, then what would happen is when we sort of contact London for descent, we would tell, or well, let's put it this way. If Bristol isn't online, London, like the sensor controller, will handle it all for me. But if Bristol approach is online and London hands me off to Bristol approach, then I will also then tell Bristol approach that I have the current information at Bristol. Whereas I think if I go to London, it's just kind of assumed, because he'll give you the QNH, which is the important bit. But it's turbulence here, it looks like. So we've finished the climb out. VOR2 can come off. We don't need those anymore, at least not until we get to Bristol. So yeah, that's the departure. Now I'm going to start already, because this is a fairly short flight, looking at the arrival procedure. The start. So we're on the Amiral 1 Bravo arrival, and I'm just looking at it. And it's completely VNAV. There's no VORs involved, although it does take us in over Bristol, the ADF at Bristol, which is on 414. So I'm going to go to the RadNav page and put in 414 here, which it should realise eventually, not right now because we're very far away from it, but it should realise that that is Bristol. It will say BRI. Although, that being said, in this particular build of Microsoft Flight Sim, I'm having issues with ADFs. Like the planes, they'll pick it up, but they won't actually hold it, essentially. It's kind of weird. I don't know what else to do about it, so... oh well. In terms of descent vectors, we need to be at flight level 160 by Amiral. Let's go and put that into the calculator. We're going to be at... I can't actually get rid of this. Okay, so we can't do it now, but I'll put in 1600. Then when we get to 31,000, we'll come back and recheck this and work out how far away we should start descending. That being said, if we have a center controller at the time that we're at top of descent, they will probably call for us to descend before we get to TOD, which is a good thing because it means, you know, that you're always level in time. You can't overshoot it, basically. And then also, if we go back to plan, I'll show you what I'm going to talk about now, which is the fact that, let's go back to flight plan, here we go. So, we've just gone through Navso, as you can see. We are travelling to Benby, which according to the MFD, it's 9 miles away. You'll get there at 19:13. Time is now 19:12, so about 1 minute. But as we come down towards the star, which the star actually begins at the point Amaral, which, where is Amaral? There. Okay, so Amaral, Riles, Gobham, Inger, and Bristol. You can see now what happens at Bristol is that actually, part of the star is that we overfly the airfield. So if like only Bristol Tower was online, or if Bristol was just really, really busy airspace, we would probably have to fly this last bit. What I imagine will happen instead, if I zoom out here, is that somewhere, maybe shortly after Doburn, or actually after Inga, somewhere around here, we will instead get a radar vector to turn left and then do the sort of base and downwind onto the runway, so we don't have to then do that massive teardrop approach. If it's busy, there's less chance it will happen, but Bristol isn't a particularly busy airport, so it's very likely, like highly likely, we will get what we call radar vectors, or just vectors into ILS runway 27. And then what we mean by vectors is simply like heading readouts. So easy 48 Alpha, turn left heading 090. Easy 48 Alpha, turn right 180. Easy 48 Alpha, turn left. So turn right, and then it'll probably be 1060, because what they tend to do in the real, as well as VATSIM, is the controller will give you a 30-degree intercept with the localizer. Now at Bristol, that localizer is at 90 degrees, so we will probably be turned onto a 60-degree heading and then told to pick up the localizer and descend on the glide, or maybe call when descending on the glide. So yeah, that'd be a separate radio call. Depends entirely on how busy the controller is and also what the controller sort of what their preference is. You know, things. Anyway, we are at cruise, so not much to do really. We haven't had a contact me from London yet, and we are now heading towards Dean's Cross. So I guess they don't want to talk to me. Unless London logged out. Did he log out? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Although, oh, I'm not actually in his airspace yet. I thought I was. Oops. Which airspace am I actually in right now? Oh, I think I'm still in Scottish, but I'm looking at the low on route map, not the high on route map. The point at which I don't know which the exact point is that I cross into his airspace. It will be somewhere between Dean's Cross and Subak, I imagine. But yeah, fun fact. Right. And what will happen? I'll let it happen. So sometimes you can act like it's I guess you could say good etiquette to contact the controller ahead of time, if you can, unless you're being handed off. But if you're in Unicom and you're about to fly into an area that has ATC, you will always get a thing on VPilot that comes through. It will be a boop, 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 like a tritone message that says, "Please contact me on XYZ," and it will give you the frequency. And then you just contact them, give them your call sign, give them your flight level, and they will read back to say that you've been identified. Basically means that they have you on their radar screen, and you don't have to apply to that. You do not have to apply to the bit where they say identified, because it's not a clearance and it's not an instruction. Instructions you can reply to just by saying Wilco or acknowledged or Roger. Clearances you must always read back in full. So clearance would be cleared to take off, clears to such and such via the X departure, cleared to taxi via blah 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 blah. But things like pushback and start approved, or turn right heading blah blah blah, that's not a clearance, that's just an instruction. So you could just say Roger, although it's still customary to go, you know, like, okay, turn right heading 180. Just because then if you heard them wrong, let's say they said turn right 180 and you put in 170, but you didn't read back 180, you just read back Roger, then, you know, they can't infer that you've received the information correctly. So if you read back 170, they would then go, correct, no, it's 180, and then you know, oh, okay, I've done it wrong. And it's not like they're trying to quiz you or test you or anything, and they're not trying to make you feel stupid on the spot. What they're trying to do is make sure that you've heard them correctly, so that then there's no mix-ups. Anyways, I would imagine that any second now I'll get a contact me from London North. Let's see what happens. I'm going to keep him on my standby to see if he actually tries to contact me. He might not. Depends really on if he's bored or not. Because he's got traffic going into, looks like Manchester and Liverpool at the minute, so he's fairly busy. Sometimes if a controller is really busy, like a centre controller is very busy, they won't bother giving you a call up. Like if they can see that we're just going to be cruising over the top of their airspace. There we go. He is going to call me. So London has called me to say he's contact me on 133700, so I'm going to contact him, give him my call sign, and tell him my cruise level.
1276, descend flight level 160, continue present heading.
Also, don't interrupt.
160 and continue on the heading.
Never interrupt, it's really rude. It's now
Garage 1269, contact London on 127.1.
London on 127.1, Skyway 1269, thanks.
Wait for it again.
20 Delta, Newcastle 210 degrees 9
You can see that London's quite busy at the minute, so after this guy's replied, London Easy 428 Alpha joining you, flight level 310.
Easy 428 Alpha London, thank you. Standby.
So he's at standby. We might get direct to vectors here. Do you give us a short? He might give us a shortcut, basically. Although at present we're going straight to
428 Alpha, it's the Admiral 1 Bravo arrival for Bristol.
Roger, Amval 1 Bravo arrival at Bristol, Easy 428 Alpha.
Easy 57 Kilo Charlie, turn right heading 145.
So what you heard there was that sometimes centre controllers will give you a clearance, or just tell you to expect a certain arrival, which is useful because it means that then if the information at Bristol is changing, you've got like a sort of an expectation that you'll definitely be flying this particular stuff.
Minus 710 London, thank you.
But I've just effectively been confirmed. It's confirmed that I will fly the Amber 1 Bravo, which I've already loaded into the FMS, so it's fine. Everything is as planned so far.
Expect runway 14 at Leeds, keep present heading, descend and maintain flight level 140.
I can see that there's quite a few people in chat actually, not in chat rather, but you know, I've got more viewers now than I had before.
Easy 57 Kilo Charlie, report heading to London on 127.
Everyone who's joined, welcome.
127.1 for Easy 57 Kilo Charlie, right, report heading.
3 viewers. Good to see you all. Let me know in the chat who you are and why you're watching. Hopefully if I'm entertaining you or not.
Passing flight level 225 for flight level 220
oh, another follow.
Inbound detection.
Emirates 18
Who was that? It hasn't actually told me who it is on my activity feed in Twitch, so whoever it was, I'm very sorry. Let's see if it tells me in ABS. Oh, King 6 has hosted me. Thanks, King 6. Thank you, Ian. Very generous of you. Very generous indeed. I need to get you flying these airliners at some point because they are a lot of fun. I appreciate that DCS is a very complex sim, and this can also be a very complex sim too when you get past the basic planes. Like, look at all these buttons, man. All of them do something. Every single one does a thing, and you got to know what they are. And then there's all of these buttons, and all of these screens. They all tell you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun flying these airlines, and with the air traffic control as well. Anyways, let's do our TOD calculations. So 21,000, 60,000, so 47 miles before Amral, we're going to start descending. And now it's promptly for information on the arrival. So we'll go Atsu, OC, let's get the ATIS now for Bristol. E, go Golf, Golf, Delta. In there, send, get it off. Go to receive messages, we'll just wait a minute or two while that comes in. Managing 2 inches is not enough for me right now. They're very simple, thank God. I think I just got called. Was that for EC428 Alpha?
Negative.
I didn't. Misheard. Right, never mind. Never hurts to ask. ATIS, great. And it's information uniform at the minute at Bristol. So
Delta Golf Alpha, contact Amsterdam on 125.750.
Get that printout. We'll go to Perth and we'll start inputting
Say again,
information on the arrival.
for
So next phase,
Golf
next
Alpha.
phase.
And
it's QNH1034 Bristol.
125.750 for
The
Delta.
temperature is blah, 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 where is it?
descend flight level 110.
That's 4 degrees. pretty chilly.
Descend
And,
flight level
the
110, Ryanair
wind.
710.
110 at 4 knots. 110. It's 4, but interestingly, they are still using 27, which means that it's a noise preferential thing.
If you're with me, descend flight level 250.
Transition level is 65. The approach will be 129 as it is calculated. Free landing speed is
48 Alpha,
124.
continue present heading.
Present heading easy 48 Alpha. The only thing is, when you are streaming on VATSIM, you've got to keep your ears out for this kind of thing. Because you could get called at any second.
MS18, continue present heading, climb flight level 350.
Continue present heading, flight level 350.
Right, so that's all that information. We need the minimums now. So
EGPH Alpha Zulu, currently heading 335, flight level 300 with you.
I'm going to get the
EGPH
chart
London,
for runway
control,
27. It's a Cat 2 and Cat 3 ILS, which is fantastic because it means we have radio altimeter minimums of 50 feet, which goes fantastic. All that is now set. We're not going to activate the approach phase yet. We are not there. So we need to start our descent, as the calculator was saying.
Under control, good evening. Air Hamburg 515 tank.
47 feet. So 47 miles before
Hamburg 515 tank,
we get to Amwell.
2736, 140.
So I'm going to go into the prog.
2737 and currently passing 170 for Air Hamburg 515 tango.
There. Around 95 miles to go. So we've got about 40 miles-ish of nothing to do.
JD1276, descend flight level 100.
We can just abide the view.
Descend flight level 100, JD1276.
So managing 2 engines is too much for you, Ian. I mean, as I say, they're very simple. It's not like you've got. It's not like you're flying manually. You just put them into a climb descent, and then there's auto thrust. So you set a speed, and the engines will fly that speed. Like, the power settings are all managed by a computer.
Flight level 300 and maintain altitude.
Pretty.
Easy 31 Alpha Zulu.
Easy 31 Alpha Zulu.
Requesting to leave the flight deck for 2 minutes.
7 City, 8 man report back.
Thank you, we'll report back. Easy 31 Alpha Zulu.
Whew. 58-minute stream so far. We're doing well. What do I work out? What point do I
Hamburg
get?
515 tango, Listo,
London,
1 Sierra arrival
London,
for south
London,
end, and climb flight level 310.
Roger, Listo 1 Sierra for south end, climb flight level 310. And just looking at the weather down there, we might have to divert, but we'll keep you updated.
Roger, break easy 48 Alpha, turn right heading 190 degrees.
Right, 190 degrees, easy 48 Alpha. So we're being given vectors here, which is fairly unusual at this altitude.
JD1276, contact Manchester.
Usually when they do this, it's because of spacings. They want me to not fly too close to another aircraft. So 190, that's the heading that we put into.
4670 uniform, climb flight level 320.
The heading that goes in the bug, not the true heading.
Flight level 320.
As long as it's close enough, in fact, I'm not going to bother you about it. There we go. So now the nose is pointing at 190. We're actually flying about 185, but our indicated heading is 190.
EZ 556, ready to check.
And now we keep our ears peeled because at some point we'll be told to resume our navigation up to a certain waypoint, which it could be Nokin, although I imagine it'd be probably more like Nanu now or
Emirates
Vodka.
18, resume navigation direct Ampit.
Navigation to Ambid, easy 42 Alpha.
So that's 2 stations at once, just confirm Emirates 18, navigation to Ampit.
Emirates 18, navigation to Ampit.
Okay, so that was a mistake by me. It wasn't actually from me, that instruction. Misheard again. I should turn up the controller's volume because I cannot hear him very well clearly. Okay, I made him a little bit louder.
Easy 48 Alpha, descend flight level 270.
Flight level 270, easy 42 Alpha. So, let's begin descending. Flight level 270. You managed descent.
Easy 31 Alpha Zulu, hello, turn right heading 350 degrees.
Right 350, easy 31 Alpha Zulu.
I don't know why we're not descending yet, but whatever. So, open descent it is then. You should do a managed descent, but... Oh, it's because we're on a heading, that's why. So you can't do a managed descent unless you're on the actual nav track. But as we're not on a nav track, we're currently on a heading, flying a heading. We have to do an open descent.
4670 uniform, resume navigation direct croft. EG48 Alpha, resume navigation direct Kano.
Navigation direct Kanu for EZ42 Alpha. Hey, Kanu.
Runway 710,
Where is
descend flight level 60.
Oh, it's there, Kano. Right, so we go
Descend
direct.
flight level 060, Ryanair
Kano.
710.
Temporary. Come back up here, so it's a nav, it's already doing it. Already knows. And as we're in open descent, we're already halfway down to 270, I'll just leave it in open descent. And that, right there, is probably why I got that vector.
EG48 Alpha, contact London on 126.075.
126075 for EZ42 Alpha by 126075, and that's now
Jersey 3194, turn
London
left,
West.
heading 320 degrees.
Okay, we're good. Okay, London, good evening, EZ42 Alpha passing flight level 278 for flight level 270.
EZ428 Alpha, I'm actually closing, so it looks like the previous controller missed that note. So you continue with Unicom 122.8.
Ugh, Unicom 1228, EZ42 Alpha. Okay, he's closing. Can't help it. Sometimes you get this.
EZ85 Foxtrot Kilo, unfortunately I'm closing, continue with Unicom 122.8. The previous controller missed that note. You too. Union 19992, unfortunately I'm closing up now, continue with Unicom 122.
Okay, so he's closing. Is Bristol closing too? Bristol is already closed, it looks like. Damn. Damn. Okay, so we're actually not going to get any ATC from this point, it looks like. We had a bit of ATC. I mean, this is why you should probably plan your VATSIM flights in advance, because otherwise you end up with this sort of tick going on. Right. So, from 270, 35 miles for Amaral. Is our descent, and we are currently 51. So I'll give it another, say, 10 miles. Oh, actually, we'll descend at 45 to go. 45 to go. I'll descend, and then that means that we're going to be there. We're going to be at level well before we need to be. It never hurts to be too low. You're approaching. It does hurt to be too high. So set this to below now, because we're going to be descending. And by this I mean the TCAS. Looks like we've got Jersey Tower online, maybe we can catch him very quick. And my dog's just walked into him. Let's see here. Lots of people online tomorrow. It's like on the VATSIM calendar, so always good news. Hey ho, hey ho. Oh, we are 27 shite headline now. Okay, so we're going to be 160 by Amaral. And then 150, but in fact we can just go straight to 150 actually. And then we need to bring the speed down to 250 by Inger and flight level 70 by Bristol. So, as I mentioned, you would usually get vectors, you have ATCs online, ATC is not online. However, looking at VATSPI and looking at Volanta, it is not busy at Bristol. So I will probably just give myself vectors. Because it saves me flying around a massive loop for no reason, basically. Although, you know what, actually, I suppose I could. Fly like a wider arc. No, I think I'll give myself head over vectors, just because vectors at this point are going to be much easier to deal with. Then what are they going to be easy to deal with? Then I don't even know. I'm over my words now. I'm going to message Jersey Tower though and ask him what time do you plan to log out? Just talking to them. At Jersey. Like he's going to be logging out before I get to it. Regrettably, it's not going to be a night flight there. Looks like there's actually a plane ahead of us on the... like, also flying to Bristol. Maybe that is the actual 428 Alpha. No, it isn't. It's a guy who's flying in from Dublin, looks like. So not a lot to talk about really. I guess we can put the seatbelt lights on now. Still fairly high for them, but out of things to do really. Livy's pretty pretty. Actually looking at over Brecon there. We are actually Wales, aren't we? That's the Brecon Beacons. Somewhere out there's Welsh Pool and Don. Lovely airfields in that region. We have Scottish Centre on? Scottish Centre would be nice. I'd like to look back in and do a visual when you want centre on while I do it. When do we next? I was looking. Just looking at the VATSIM events hub. There is actually an event this weekend in the UK, which is the it's the Glasgow to Prestwick city pairing. VATSIM UK and Bellux VAC are happy to announce the Prestwick Luxembourg to be on the Friday the 21st January for full ATCA between ELLX and EGPK. Interesting. So it's typically a cargo route. So maybe I can fly passenger. Okay, so back in the cockpit we are at Amaral, and we're actually leveled off slightly before Amaral, so that's good. And we can now begin to need to be at 250 by bottom, or 250 by Inga rather. Although it never hurts to be, as I say, doing that too early. So we'll reduce speed now to 250, and because we're now on the managed speed mode, we can come down here and we can say that the approach phase is being activated. Speed to come down, and then we'll descend further to flight level 70, which you would usually do by Bristol, or as I say, I'm going to vector myself in rather than do that weird teardrop approach. I don't really like the look of it, so at least not on the current sort of iteration of this plane's VNAV. So that being said, I don't think I actually did ever pick a the Bristol transition, so might be a product of that. Anyway, let's go flight level 70, and we'll dial that in as a managed descent. Okay. Power idle. Oh, and the altitude. Oh, there we go. Great. Going through 10,000, we'll put the lights back on. The landing lights, that is. Then we'll think about landing checklists. Speaking of what we can actually do in the meantime is look at the landing prep sheet. So we're going into EGGD, the METAR for that airport. Runway condition, I believe, is actually wet. So we'll say it's good medium. Let's just look back at the METAR that I've got. Blah, 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 blah. No clouds detected. Am I imagining that it was wet? Yeah, okay. I'm going to assume the runway's dry. It hasn't actually rained all day. So. Dry. Okay, let's now get starts up for Bristol Airport. On. Right, so the runway length, the threshold elevation rather, is 603 feet, fairly high. The runway heading is 267 degrees, full flaps. Runway dry slope, we'll say it's 0, basically as the distance is only 2,011 meters. Approach speed will be at 129, and the weight, let's look at the weight. Whoa. Go to our thingy majiggy here. It's got a more technical name than that, I'm sure. The weight doesn't actually tell you now for some reason. I don't know why that moves. I'd love to know my landing weight. Fuel predictions. Oh, this is the fuel prediction page. Okay, well, we could just do it like the ECAM. Gross weight is 61,800. So over to the landing calculator, we're 61,800. Calculate. Okay, so low speed brake is not going to be enough, so we're going to need at least medium. Let's go medium speed brake then, or auto brake. Okay. Still coming down on this star. We're going to be leveled off in plenty of time.
Traffic off kilo would be like 2 meters overhead for 7,000.
As flight level 100, we can turn the landing lights on. I'm just going to go in and check my arrival info again. So transition altitude is 65. Transition level, I should say, because transition altitude is when you go from local to standard, and then transition level is when you go from standard back to local. 2500. Transition level. The approach is 131. Based on the landing weight that it's now got. I'll actually go in and change that on the landing calculation. Actually going to be 131. Just medium water break. There's the Bristol Channel, so coming in nicely still. Wind in the range on our
Bristol traffic, Shamrock 107, established outlet 27.
And I think let's just do one long turn. So we're going to go heading, let's say, Go heading 130 for now. We can always wind it in. 130. Let's. Because we're level at 7,000 now, we can do the rest of the descent on vertical speed mode. Bristol traffic, EZ428 Alpha, self-vectoring for the ILS, runway 7. Traffic, please advise. Bristol. So that was a Unicom call-out. Unicom call-outs, generally speaking, don't warrant a response, but it's just so traffic in the... Generally, the reason they do this is just so that you can let our traffic in the area know what you're doing. So in that instance, I said Bristol traffic, so that's prefacing already that it's for people in the Bristol area. And then my call sign, and what I'm intending to do. And I also said traffic, please advise, which is just so that people in the area who are also sort of flying near me potentially let me know who they are and what they're doing as well, so I can have an accident with them. Anyways, let's descend some more. Let's go down to flight level 030. Open descent with vertical speed mode. We'll also go back now to local pressure, which according to my pressure readout for 104 is higher here. Quite a bit higher. 3, 4. The ILS chart wants us to be at 3,000. It wants us to be at 8. Wants us to be at 2,500 feet when we're at 8 DME. Right now, we're going to be more than 8 DME away when we actually turn onto localizer. Heading.
Bristol traffic, Shamrock 107, landing runway 27.
Fine. They're all much closer to the field than I am at the minute, so nothing about those other aircraft yet.
Holding short at runway 27, Alpha X-ray.
I'm also now going to go up here to the overhead, turn on the turn-off lights, turn on the nose lights, putting the gear down in a bit, but not just yet. ILS info up here. Actually going to turn 090. Actually, let's go 100. I want to make sure that we're definitely not going to intercept this localizer too early. Heading 100, the wind here at Bristol is pretty calm. Not going to be an issue. Once we're at 3,000 feet, I'm going to start putting the speed down. My main key contention is though, we're now below the ILS. We've just lost it because we're so far out. Let's turn back on track 180, are we?
Bristol traffic, Shamrock 107, vacating 27 on Golf.
Okay. Heading 180. Nearly at 3,000 now. As soon as it says outstar, I'm going to start putting the speed needle back. Okay, we're still not open. There we go, alt start. Let's pull the speed back to, I usually go 220 first.
EC435 taking off from
That means we can get
7 Bristol traffic.
Maps number 1 in. Bristol traffic, easy 48 Alpha is right base for runway 27, 12 miles to run at Bristol.
$2,500.
Okay, there's our first radio altimeter. Good thing. Okay, below flap 1 speed, so let's get flap 1 in. Also bring the speed down even more to about 185. I usually go next. Then we'll go back up to heading mode. I'm going to get ready to turn for 240, which puts us on a localizer intercept track. Couple more seconds, I think. And let's go now. Flaps 2. Back to the speed needle. Let's get the speed down to 165 now. See the runway lights over there, so we're going to arm localizer mode. Localizer was captured. Now alarm approach mode, ready for the glide slope capture as well. Speed is good, so we can go gear down. Overhead panel, everything looks good. It's on, all the lights are on, no whites. Everything is fine.
2,500.
The altimeter is live again. Let's go flaps B. Localizer is now established. It's not localizer star, it's lock. Waiting to capture the gimme. It says we should be at 2,500 feet by 8 DME, but actually we won't capture if we were at that altitude. We were 5.8 DME. So it'll be a bit sooner than that, probably more like 6.2, 6.6 mid, 6 point something. Right, let's now go to minimum approach speed, so we're going to go speed managed. High slope start is armed mode. Great, go flaps full. The slope is now. And we'll do another Unicom call. Easy 48 Alpha Bristol traffic. We are final runway 27 ILS approach, 6 miles to run Bristol. Great, no one's on the runway because the last guy call vacated. There's one looking like he's on downwind here. Let's hope he's flying in front of me or something stupid. Okay, so now we just need to do our final landing checks. Cabin, let's give them a call. And spoilers aren't. And that is our autopilot. Hand fly this in. Never actually done a jet landing at Bristol. I've only ever done like jet. I'm told it's quite a bumpy runway. We'll move with hope, I'll be honest. We'll see. Right, we're straying slightly on the localizer here because there was a left crosswind element here. trying to follow the flight director at the minute, although as we get to sort of 500 feet, we'll transfer to predominantly visual. TA only. Next. Back up to pretty much centre line. Now low on the uppies. Wind is filling you up. I think we're good on altitude.
500.
Good on the
400
feet. Hand on leaf.
300. 200. 100 above. 100. Minimum.
Continue.
50. 40. 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Ooh, a bit hard. It's not my finest work at all. Calm down. And to be fair, we did put it down on the on the threshold, which, you know, there was a danger that you might run out of one. Any runway where I don't have to select the low water brake is where it tends to be low T glide. I want to be able to touch down on the without bashing it. Little rough, admit. Never mind. And the last thing we do really is indicated. Very nice seat. Ground earlier. Very pretty. Fortunately, just move out some of these bumps, which I'm getting at their real life. Bristol traffic, he's the Alpha vacated Golf X-ray. Provenance, we can get the APU spooling up. On landing light, use taxi. Maps can come up. Give a cabin check. Stewards get moving. There we go. That's it. That is a full VATSIM flight. Obviously not controlled for the whole of it, but for most of it. For a good chunk. We had all of Edinburgh stations going out, besides delivery. If you want to count delivery. With the exception of Scottish Centre, and then we got London Centre for a bit. Fortunately nothing here at Bristol, but maybe another day. In terms of where we're going to park, 938 7. I think let's go in at stand 5 or 6. Try the 10. If we can find a space. Contact. Is it Bristol ground? It's Bristol ground. A bit late, but never mind. Let's stop here. Oh, and come. Bristol ground's coming to save the day. Bristol ground, good evening, easy 428 Alpha. We were taxiing on Zulu. We're looking for parking.
Yeah, easy 428 Alpha, welcome to Bristol. You can taxi to stand 24 via Zulu.
Stand 24 via Zulu for easy Alpha. Okay. bad at all. So we're going to take 10 off on 7 Whiskey 8. Not this one, it's the one that are. And like, if you've watched it, probably on the VOD because I haven't had many live viewers, but watching on. It's informative. I park up here and begin to wrap up. There we go. Down to 2-6. Go ahead. Off. Runway 10 off. And never see out the window where you got to stop here, so I think it's fine if you cheat and it's because you do have a marshal your plane. I don't. So, and there we go, we're parked. Let's get that AP1 to bleed. Then we can get on here and turn off engine 2. Let the TCAS off. Back up here, seatbelts can. Let's get our air stairs. They're here. Do we get air stairs? Oh, they are there. Here they come. Alarmingly quickly. Get the baggage truck. Oh, can we get the baggage truck? Can. Fantastic. Driving through himself, but never mind, never mind. Let's shut down engine number 1. Okay, crew oxygen off. Let's get general. Gears can come off. Fuel pumps can go off. Got it. Strobes can go off. Puffs can go off. Beacon stays on until the engine is fully shut. There's a there. So zero in and begin to offload. Okay. Unlock the door. Go back out there and say goodbye. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. And if you have, then you let me know. Am I? Someone else? Oh. Oh, it appears that there's a TUI has parked on my stand. Oh dear, well, you know, what can you say? The two low-cost travel operators do love each other a bit too much. Yes, hope you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you in the next one.